One of the things I failed to mention, guys, is your rod. It's one of the most important, if not the most important thing out here on this. I rock a Shimano X-Pride. This is my frogging rod right here. This is a heavy action rod. Get some form of heavy action rod. If you have a jig rod and you don't want to get a dedicated frog rod, use your jig rod. That'll work also. So, but that's my setup. It's a Daiwa Zillion paired with an X-Pride, and of course this is 40-pound Power Pro. And like I said, I use Decoy V-Snaps. And then the Jackal Frog, one of my favorite boats. All right, guys, your boy Top Drop, Top with a T, aka Mr. Slay Them Things. We're gonna get back to teaching things, man. I think every trip I go out on, I'm gonna teach y'all some form of a technique, maybe a couple, just so y'all newbies out there, guys that are trying to get into the beginning part of things, or just trying to, or your more advanced guys that like to look at different techniques to improve their craft, basically. So what we're going to talk about today is one of my favorite ways to fish besides the big swim bait. Everybody know I done got caught up in that game, but that's another point. My favorite other way to fish, of course, is frog fishing, guys. It's really straight up power fishing. I'll run 40-pound braid, Power Pro braid, and then of course on a Daiwa high speed gear ratio. I'm on a Daiwa Zillion. This is a 10-0 gear ratio right here, so this burns up. It's a reason behind that, because I'm power fishing the shade lines. So like in the shade areas, like for instance, let me point at it for you guys over there, any of that shade area, that cover is what I'm fishing. As soon as it comes off that cover and into the sun, I'm out. I'm reeling for the next cast, which that 10 gear ratio helps, because I can get in and out and really pluck that cover off, that shade line off real fast. As much shade as I can cover, as fast as I can cover, it works. So that's what I'm trying to do right here. That's what I'm going to do. That's what I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to do. Picking out frogs, guys. Most all my frogs stay in a nice Plano box, so the hooks don't rust. You know, those Planos got those wicker setups to basically absorb the water. Different styles of frogs I like to use when it has a little chop on the water. Like for instance, like right now we have a little bit of wind. I'm on a popping style frog. My favorite popping style frog to use, one of my favorites, is a Spro. So my Spro popping frog is one of the things I like to use. Palomar knot. I use snap, guys. Of course I use snaps. I use the Decoy V snaps. They're heavy duty, so I do like those type of snaps, so I can change in and out. But my Spro frog, that's that cup frog. See that cup front end? And then I like to bend my hooks out and up, so those hook points are exposed. Frogs have the worst hookup ratio, worst out of any lure out there. A frog is by far #1 as far as bad hookups. So I like to take a pair of pliers, bend my hooks out and up, so they're pointing up like that. Check that out. I'll do it like this, like the YouTube guys do. I need to get more YouTube savvy, but that gives me a better hookup ratio. I do trim my skirts so they're not banging those skirts off. I don't really recommend doing it. I do it personally. I mean, you can, you can't. I trim one longer than the other so it helps walk the dog. So for a newbie that's trying to learn how to walk the dog, you can trim that one a little, shorter than the other if you want, to kind of help you learn how to walk the dog. Because at first it gets kind of difficult. It's like jerkbait fishing on top of the water. It's the same with a spook. It's almost the same with a big swim bait. You have some form of technique of doing that same retrieve on something like that, but it's not as aggressive. So I'm gonna get up here and I'm gonna show you guys how I fish this. Actually, let me show y'all a couple of more frogs that I like to use. Megabass makes a good frog. I think it's called a Big Gabbit. That's a great frog to use. You got a bunch of them, guys. If you don't want to use like something that's, where you have to twitch, like you actually have to work the rod, try one of these. I think it's a Teckle frog, where it has these little blades at the end. So all this is a throw and wind type frog. So if you don't want to get into where you're twitched, walking the dog with the frog, throw this out and then just kind of reel it in. You can do either technique. You can reel it or you can do that technique. And then of course you have your standard style frogs. We got more Jackal Gavachos, excellent frogs, Jackal Carreras, Gavachos, so on, excellent frogs. And then of course you have your more traditional pointed frog, with that, keel front end right there. That's what I'm using when I'm in thick cover, and then when it's calm. So like I got a little ripple on the water, I want them to be able to hear it, come up and tag it. Of course you got bully walls, River to Seas that make great ones, on and on and on and on. Bobby's Perfect frog, if you can find those, excellent. So definitely get into the frog game. It's that time of the year to do that, guys. Get out there, target cover. and go from there. We're gonna check out some techniques on how I like to work that and see if I pick up a fish. GoPro highlight. All right, guys, I'm just gonna work this sideline, and we're gonna work this sideline with this popping frog and see if we can figure it out. So we're gonna go get this Minn Kota on north, and we're just gonna bang the shaded lines right here with this frog. Check out the technique I like to use when I'm doing this. Let's try to slow this down. I want you to concentrate on my hands as much as you can. So I'm gonna aim to the sideline right there, to that shade. Try to get as close as you can, and all you're doing is twitch. I want you to see the blow up too, just in case. But you're just popping a slack line, getting that frog to move back and forth. And then when you get out the strike zone, you can go on to the next cast. So I can go to the next cast if I want. Because I mean, you really work in tight quarters. You want to get as close to that sideline, see if it's a fish just sitting right there. And you can throw a frog anywhere you want. I mean, you can throw it anywhere and not worry about getting stuck. But see how I'm working that? That frog got to be dancing back and forth. Concentrate on my hands. I made sure I put this down this time a little bit. But I'm popping, see I'm popping a slack line. The slack line on that water, and all I'm doing is popping back and forth. And walking that frog. That's frog fishing, guys.